Thank you. I rise to oppose Mr Davis's motion. Mr Davis, energy is absolutely critical to our economy, whether it's our businesses, whether it is our homes. We absolutely need it to run our economy. Victoria has a proud history of energy generation. The region I represent, Eastern Victoria, has provided abundant energy for the state of Victoria that has helped us grow and prosper and be the great state that we are today. But we know we cannot continue to burn coal the way in we have. We know that generators that have been built decades ago that are taking hundreds of millions of dollars for upkeep cannot continue to run. They cannot continue to run. So this is why the government has put in place a plan to transition our electricity supply, and it is one that we are doing. We are meeting all of our targets. We are exceeding our targets, which is why we are bringing our targets forward. Minister D'Ambrosio has ensured that business investment has had a clear path on security around their investment in this state, so that we are now in a position with the 5,000 jobs that have occurred over the last decade, as our energy generation from renewable sources has lifted to a point where we're on about 40% of the grid is coming from renewable sources. We are here because we have a plan, and Mr Davis just made a comment before about that, and that is exactly why we're here, and we are continuing on our plan for 11 years' time to be 95% renewable generation into the grid. Now, the opposition want to talk about gas. Gas is clearly stated that there is not the supply of gas, there is not conventional gas supply to supply the state. And you can kick this issue down the road as long as you want, whether it might be 5 years or 10 years. You can go and rip up farms, you can poison aquifers, you can take our prime agricultural land and rip it to shreds through your ideological beliefs, but at some point that gas will run out. Whereas sunshine hitting panels, wind hitting turbines, water moving through hydro, whatever renewable source it might be, that can power us as long as we've got sunshine hitting this earth. As long as we've got sunshine hitting this earth, member for Western Victoria. And the economics speak for themselves. Even if on that side you want to ignore the science of climate change, that's fine. But around the world, in 2023, there were more renewables installed around the world than the entire nuclear generation capacity. And we won't get into nuclear just yet, but more renewables installed around the world. Governments around the world are seizing the opportunity of renewables. Western countries, emerging nations, because it makes economic sense. And when we are talking about our economy, we have the dollars and cents that you can't have them overrun by ideology. So in Victoria, we've set this goal. As I've said, we're verging on 40% renewable generation. We have the cheapest wholesale rate in Australia. We have South Australia and Tasmania with incredibly high renewable penetration into their grids following us. We have our Victorian default offer, which is $300 less than other states, or 16% less. So we are seeing that the plan that we are delivering is working. So for our state, for our continued prosperity, we have to get on and deliver energy, electricity to this state. And Victorians, I'm sorry to be rude, but Victorians don't trust the Liberal Party to deliver on it, because you've been ideologically driven for over 2 decades on this item, and not to stray from, I'll come back to the state very briefly. Federally, there was 10 years where nothing happened. Here, 4 years between 2010 and 2014 where nothing happened. I mean, basically nothing happened in the whole state. But on renewables, wind turbines were...
Sorry, Mr Davis, on a point of order.
This is a debate about a planning scheme amendment revocation. It's not an opportunity for a broad attack on the opposition.
Thank you. I think we've had a fair bit of debate about the narrowness of this motion this afternoon, so I would ask the member just to return to the motion, please.
So on planning, between 2010 and 2014, wind turbines were basically erased by the Liberal Party. Action on renewable energy targets, energy generation, energy efficiency were basically erased. This is too important to Victoria to get this right. In Europe, they are bringing in trade tariffs. Trade tariffs are coming in, and our exports need to be able to enter those markets. And as more nations, continents around the world enter into a similar system, we don't want to be isolated like we have been with automotive vehicles, where it's us and Russia left buying the most expensive to run vehicles in the world. We have $90 billion of investment ready to go, 15,000 jobs in renewables. We need to keep the power flowing for Victoria. I spoke this morning on another bill on energy that the opposition shadow for energy had brought forward, which actually was nonsensical and not something that we could even get to, which not to be personal to the opposition shadow, but the Liberal Party show time and time again, federally or state, they are unable to engage in energy discussion or debate or planning in a meaningful way. And without an abundant supply of cheap, affordable energy, which is what renewable is, because when you don't have a resource cost to power, whether it be solar panels or wind or hydro or other items, of course it makes the power more affordable. It's interesting to hear Mr Davis's language around nasty, authoritarian, undemocratic, because to me, what I think about that is the placement of nuclear reactors into Anglesea, into Morwell, into wherever else that might also occur. This ideological drive to go to an incredibly more expensive and incredibly slow to build, a system that has incredible waste, opposed to sticking with a path, with a plan that we are delivering, it just absolutely shows through. And when we're talking about planning, I don't know if those opposite have too much credibility. When we look at the likes of Fisherman's Bend, where there were a lot of questions, where community was the last consideration of those in charge, when land for schools was not purchased, when Labor came into government, we had to purchase that land at inflated rates to build schools for community. So I don't think those opposite have a lot to stand on when it comes to planning. And for the opposition to talk about this somehow trying to tie this in as bad for regional Victorians are seeing jobs. Farmers are able to diversify their income, and I don't understand why the Conservatives are so absolutely gung-ho on blocking farmers from diversifying their income. You don't want them generating off their land. You don't want them making income of anything of this incredible opportunity that is here. We've talked about the generations of jobs, the billions of dollars of investment. You want to put red tape in the way of farmers and say no. No, no, no. The Coalition are against it. You want a couple of centralised big nuclear plants on private land that will... So are you against nuclear, Mr Davis? Okay, that is very vague. So we'll just stick with the Liberals' position on nuclear for now, as that has neither been denied or confirmed by Mr Davis. So the key point is the government is delivering the energy that Victoria needs, delivering the jobs that Victoria needs, and delivering the income for regional Victorians that they need. Thank you.